partners later want to separate, they might have a difficult time. Make sure the moon is well aspected, especially to Venus or Jupiter. Avoid aspects to Mars, Uranus, or Pluto. The signs Aries, Gemini, Virgo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, because it will bind you in there. So I didn't tell that. Now that's the part I didn't deal with. I didn't know whether it was squared with Pluto or Uranus or something like that. It could have been with them guys. And I done what I done. But this stuff is real. It's really real. Like right now, you have Jupiter retrograding right now. You have Mercury retrogrades. All planets do a retrograde. Jupiter retrograde, anything that you want to bring to fruition, you do it now. You lay the seeds of it right now. You get the check up? You do Jupiter retrograde. A Mercury retrograde, I tell you, financial situations do not deal with a Mercury retrograde. And that's, remember the presidential election in 2000? The reason that it went haywire for 2 weeks, because it was in a Mercury retrograde. So it had retrograded, so they had to wait till that's why they had to wait 2 weeks for the retrograde is over, for them to get out of it. But they had did it in Mercury retrograde. The night of the election was a Mercury retrograde. Mercury had went into retrograde. You know what I'm saying? So they had to go on with the energy, you know what I'm saying? And spent them, their communication was down and all this other stuff. So the point being, Mercury was in retrograde. The planets, the moon, the zodiac, all of it relates to everyday life. You know what I'm saying? When if you start a business and you want it to be wealthy, this is what the elite does. You know what I'm saying? They wait till the moon going to a certain house, or it's increasing or waxing, and then they wait till it going to a certain house or zodiac. They wait till Jupiter might be in sextile with another, planet that might be increasing wealth. So they wait till those particular aspects take place, and then they start. You know what I'm saying? The way Solomon said, there's a time for everything. You know what I'm saying? Every action, there's a time for it. But some people, not knowing that, it just moves and do things, and then it tears from the seams, then you wonder why. Because you might have moved in the wrong time and space. You have to wait some time for things and aspects to makes it move so you can move on it. Like for instance, when I created this thing in my mind, this place right here, in my mind. I brought it to fruition. I waited. 2008 was a leap year. Every 4 years. That's why they have president elections in leap years. Because what they do is, wherever they want to take place, you have to do it in leap year. They say you want to lay down, you want to become a billionaire, right? You wait till leap year. And you do a ritual and say, I want to be a billionaire. This is real stuff. And lay down the seed, take it back to Mother Earth first. There's a mound that we used to go to. And I write on parchment paper what I wanted to happen. And I went before the holy courts and I gave my petition. Just like you would do in the court on the fifth world. I went to before the holy courts. I had a sister with me, so she bring energy in. So I buried it in the earth. And that's gave life. So within that 4-year period, things will transpire to what you asked for. Because they did it in leap years. And this is what they do when they want to rule. They did the presidential elections in leap years. Always. And they started the institution of slavery. So it began in 1607. A leap year. You know what I'm saying? Prophet Noble Ali, we demonstrated in leap years.
Why a leap year?
Because that's when you put in the earth, whatever you want to transpire, it will happen. In leap years. It's the energy of leap years.
Because, the Moorish Consulate of America was created on a new moon.
Right. But it also, because that's for what? Waxing in abundance, right?
Right.
So at the same time too, it was the leap year, 1928 was leap year.
Right.
Okay. So anytime you want things to take place, but in between those the zodiac houses, you know what I'm saying, that's why Jesus said, and my father out there many mansions. He's talking about the many multitude of dimensions and also the zodiac. You know what I'm saying, and the moon is traveling through those houses every 2 days.
Those houses.
Huh?
He was talking about those houses.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you look up in the book and say, for instance, cut hair. A certain way that you're supposed to cut your hair. You said if you cut it in the wrong moon, you might not be able to grow it back that quick.
It's true.
So I'm trying to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
In the natural cycle of things, is there a leap year or is man-made? Is leap year man-made then?
But see, they based it off something. They based it off of science. But see, like for instance, lunar time. They took the magic of the lunar cycles and just connected it to, like for instance, they just put on, I think they put 100-some days onto a solar calendar. But then at the same time, they had to, somewhat at the time, they had to create a leap year to balance the time. You know what I'm saying? And probably between those 4 years, there is something happening in the universe. You see what I'm saying? Because for them to do the rituals, you know what I'm saying, if they just create it out of their own mind, then nothing will happen because there's nothing set up for it. You see what I'm saying? So they had to know something about why they had did it on, to make it every 4 years a leap year, based on something was going on in the universe at the time. You see what I'm saying? Some type of science. So they move on things. They say, like for instance, legal matter, it says good moon, Jupiter aspects improve the outcome in legal decisions, to gain damages through a lawsuit, begin the process of during the increasing moon, to avoid paying damages or court date during to avoid paying damages in court date during the decreasing moon is desirable. It said good moon, sun aspects strengthen your chance of success. Well respected in the moon in Cancer or Leo, making good aspects to the sun brings the best results in custody cases. In divorce cases, a favorable moon, Venus aspect is best. So how you determine that, you have to go to the chart. And this tells you to do certain things on a particular day, like in January, they have for every different thing in life, from animals all the way to letters, how to write them or to deal with certain things on the day-to-day. It will tell you what day is to deal with. See what I'm saying? Writing questions.
Do you always have to use parchment paper to vary?
Yeah.
Why is it just parchment paper?
Parchment is it's like the wood piece that is very much more life.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when you write on that, you put it in the earth, all you're doing is you turn it back to where it comes from.
That's how you spell that?
Parchment.
And where can you buy it?
You buy it at
Office Max,
Office Max.
Oh, Office Max. Okay.
Staples.
Right on the board, right here.
Staples.
Parchment.
Parchment. So some of them.
I didn't know that. Okay. Go to Office Max and get some parchment paper.
It's like parchment paper.
Does that book make any reference to cycles of the day?
Of the day. What you mean, like?
You mean like certain things you're supposed to do during the day?
No, you give the days that is favorable to do it. Like for instance, they have the chart. You know, when the planets of, if anything like you do is favorable on the planet chart, they'll tell you unfavorable or favorable. If it's like for instance, if it's in the moon of Scorpio, the moon's in Scorpio, and you want to do something, and then go to the planetary chart. If they say favorable, you do it. If they say unfavorable, I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Then you have to take it in relation that the if it's Mercury and retrograde, I will never deal with no financial situation because I tested that too. With income tax checks, you know what I'm saying? It delays things. It delayed my checks for 3 or 4 months. I said, I'm gonna test this shit. No, I'm gonna test this thing. See if it's real. And I tested it. Twice. First time I was satisfied. I did it again. It got me. You know what I'm saying? It delayed my checks for 3 or 4 months. What it does, it delays things. That's what it does. And you have to, like for instance right here, these charts here. Planets, and then you have the zodiac house. And then you would go and see where's the sextile, then you got the definition of what sextile mean, what the planets in opposition mean. All that it takes an effect, all those things mean something. Then you go and see where the moon is and what house it's sitting in, and then you go about a day, if for instance this October, go back and tell you right here, it'll be favorable or unfavorable. And you start a business always on a new moon. Always. The abundance of things. Sometimes for people to just try it and don't follow the science and find out it's true in the end.
Who's the author?
You lose. Huh?
Who's the author of that?
I think it's Llewellyn's publication, but it's no author. I think it's just an almanac. A moon almanac. They come out every year. But best book too. If you have that blue book, Power of Songs, and where you deal with these people is with magic. Before I knew about law, I used magic in courts. Before I knew about it. It's called Power of Songs. It's on the bookshelf. The blue and yellow book. I used to always use 37 songs. I put them in confusion. I'm dropping this stuff. I'm saying, they'd be looking for, like one time, I knew I got stopped anytime, no insurance. This dude could not find, he could not, I had read 37 songs, like I said. I read 37 songs, and then I ran to court. He dropping stuff, and he haven't been here in the priors, and she said, hold on, she dropped something, she dropped something. You know what I'm saying? They were looking at me, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't find nothing. I knew I'd been stopped. I've been convicted 2 or 3 times for it. They couldn't find it. That's your science. I use the science for me. Oh, wow. It should be,
37 songs.
hold on, let me get it right there. Yeah, this book here. Another thing, my ex-wife she was born in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. She taught me this book. One time I woke up, she had incense burning on my head. Cinnamon. Now you know that's used for control.
Cinnamon? Wow.
And she had it burned on my head, so you know what I'm saying? That person would go to the cemetery on me. Cemetery there. Sometimes she messed with the sign. And so she had told me about this book. And it's when I started using the Power of the Songs.
Now who is that by? Who is that by?
It's about a woman named Anna Riva. R-I-V-A.
R-I-V-A?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Riva.
I got some of her other books.
And with court cases, I would put the state's attorney's judge on the 109th song.
109?
109th song. On 109th song tells them that their children will be vagabonds and all that. Break them down from the arrogant state to a poker state. You saying they were flying high one time, then they fall the next. The 109th song is very powerful. 109th song. But this deals with And it goes into using this stuff